What is up, Vanflippers? Welcome back to another highly anticipated episode of the greatest metal and hardcore internet podcast show there is on the webs, the Vanflip Podcast. I'm here with Kyle and Chris of the Florida band Bodysnatcher. Welcome to the show, dudes.
What's up?
Glad to be here.
Okay. We also talked about not talking over each other, so they're just trying to be extra cautious. They're not that awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys, how you doing, man? Another Florida band, I was just a little late to this episode because I was previously recording the one with Frank from Hatebreed, the listeners have listened to last week, as they say in the business. But I totally forgot that you guys covered the "Smash Your Enemies" song from them.
Yeah.
And
right.
I should have mentioned it on the podcast. That would have been great to see if he had heard it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been sick.
It might have been a cool sound clip for the band, so apologies. Like I said earlier, shit host. But anyway, you guys did cover a Hatebreed song, and it's just random that you guys are following the Hatebreed episode on the Vanflip.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was crazy too.
Super sick. That was actually probably the heavy band that got me into heavy music was Hatebreed. And then obviously like Slipknot, bands like that. But Hatebreed, my dad actually showed me that band when I was very young. So it's crazy that it's come full circle at this point now.
Your dad showed you the band?
Yes.
Dude, his dad still wears like Pitchfork shirts and stuff. Like, it's cool.
Yeah. He wears like Throwdown and Ice Pick and all those bands. So
nice. Cool.
It's really cool that
Geez, how old is your dad?
59, 60.
Holy crap.
He's older, yeah.
So how did he get in? How did he even find like Hatebreed? Was he just always into that kind of style of music, or?
Yeah, so just kind of like into that sort of music, and obviously Hatebreed in the early 2000s was really, really popping. Not that they aren't still popping, but they were just, I feel like, humongous. So I mean,
oh yeah,
and Jamey was like the host of Headbangers Ball back then, so it was like everybody knew Hatebreed. You know,
that is true.
We were just talking about this on the last episode. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's strange because like your dad would be probably around my dad's age, and I just don't foresee my dad like repping a Throwdown shirt. Although I would be totally okay with it. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's cool. It's cool that you connect like that with your dad, I guess.
Definitely. I think I get a lot of I took a lot of I guess interests from him. So I'm thankful for that for sure, because I feel like without that early exposure to that sort of stuff, I feel like you can't really say like, "Oh, I would have found it on my own" or whatever, but like it definitely, I'm glad that it was there for me to be exposed to it like that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm definitely the oldest member in the band, and I think you're still the youngest, right?
I'm 25 years old, so yeah. I think so.
And but yeah, it's crazy because like he was going to shows when he was like 13 or something, you know what I mean? Like hanging out with like a bunch of the older heads, and yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it was pretty terrifying. I was going to shows 13, 14 years old, and that was like, when you're that young, that there's obviously bands that are at the top that are huge, and you're like, wow, those are like the commercial big bands. But then, you go to a local show and it's like you're completely exposed to all this other shit. And it's like, going to shows that young, it was like going and seeing Call to Preserve and Seventh Star, and it's like you completely have no idea what's going on, but you're like, oh my god, this is terrifying.
Yeah, I remember living that. I remember living that life. I mean, I'm a little older than 25, unfortunately, but I remember I remember like just growing up, and like Evergreen Terrace was a local band here, obviously, in my area. Only say obviously because they are familiar with Florida as well. Not saying that everyone should know that I'm from the same area as Evergreen Terrace, but anyway. So going to a lot of those early shows with like early On Broken Wings and early Shattered Realm and early
Dude,
bands like that.
Magic Fest 2004. Did you go to that? You remember Magic Fest in Florida? It was like the hugest fest.
Where was it?
It was on the East Coast. It was like in I don't know if it was like West Palm or Fort
probably
Lauderdale.
probably not. Unfortunately, I think I remember hearing
like
about it.
Every single Eulogy band, but then every Trustkill band, like it was like Walls of Jericho, On Broken Wings, Until the End. From those days, it's like every band that you could have wanted to be when I was there. And it was just like the most chaotic show I'd ever been to in my life.
Some of those bands like Shattered Realm and stuff like that, and On Broken Wings, when they would come, like some of their like crew would come as well, and they would enter the mosh pit, and they would mosh totally differently than we did down here, and it was frightening sometimes.
Oh yeah. That's like, yeah, those dudes were doing security at Magic Fest, but that's like, I don't know. That's kind of the reason why I kept going to shows, was because you get like this crazy rush of adrenaline when shows are that violent. You know what I mean? And it's like, because shows were that violent, but like there were some people that were okay with it, a lot of people that weren't okay with it. But to me, like that's what kept me going to shows, was that like violence, and it was like a place where people could actually be violent, and it was like okay. And like to me, like that was hardcore to me, and I fucking loved it so fucking much.
You definitely had to keep your head on a swivel for sure. And
you had to definitely be aware of everything at all times.
Yeah, but people ahead, people on top of you, people either like coming over from behind you, crowd surfing, or crowd killing, or crowd stomping, or crowd walking, or the pit just opening up right next to you randomly, and then you're like on the wall, or you might be in the middle of it. It's crazy times, man. And again, like that's an allure and a rush that you are attracted to a little bit. And I still, to this day, like on not like in major festival type settings, but like in regular concert venues, I still get like as close to the pit. Like I'll be right there. You know what I mean? I'll be right there. I'm not trying to get in anymore, but I'm right there still.
Yeah, I agree. I'm old as well, and I'm not trying to get in it anymore. But I do enjoy watching the festivities happen.
I will say sometimes I do get wrapped up and I get into it. That's it. Sometimes, but I just like being there. I've always liked being like I'm not trying to be pressed up on anybody anymore, because I'm like to the age where like I don't necessarily want to be like mushed like a sardine in the front of the crowd. But that's the environment that I grew up in, so I like to be as close to that as possible.
For sure. There's one band that kind of they got it out of me. There's a band that's out right now called Strangled, and dude, you just can't help it. They're the type of band you see them live and you're just like, motherfucker.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
Yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think it's the pure aggression and all the adrenaline and just seeing like it just all fucking go down is what is like that was the draw for me as well. Like when I started going to shows, it was like, oh my god, I don't know what's happening, but like this is fucking madness. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what drew me and had me continue to go to shows over the years and everything. And same thing, like what Chris just said, that band Strangled is just that's literally all of those feelings as a band, and it's fucking insane. And yeah, I really enjoy it as well.
Well, I think people that grew up going to shows will continue to go to shows, until they have like outside responsibilities. And I just am one of those individuals that has gotten older that doesn't necessarily have that many outside responsibilities outside of myself. So I've continued to just go to shows. Like that's been my entire, I go to, this past year has been so crazy because the guy who I also do the podcast with, JP, we do all the Lambgoat, video stuff together, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. We attend so many shows throughout the year, just in general, whether they be big shows that we're covering or even like small room 50-pack house shows. You know what I mean? We'll go to those kind of shows, and it's just so strange that we haven't gone in over a year and a half now, and
Dude, it's so weird.
yeah,
It's so fucking weird.
but I feel like those. Yeah, we just go to shows because we like going to shows, even if it wasn't violent.
Oh, 100%. Just going to see people let it out. You know what I mean? Like that's all it is. Just going see emotion. That's it. You know,
Yeah.
and it's and real emotion. You know.
I think another big draw for me was there were shows, I can't speak for everybody, even people listening, maybe this is true, maybe it's not, but when I was going to shows, it was very tight knit, at least back then.
Yeah.
And I remember just when I was in high school, it was like that's where all my friends were every weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like we had shows every week. It was every Friday, and if it wasn't every Friday, it was every other Friday, and it was you name it, hardcore bands, metalcore bands, deathcore bands, just all that stuff. And it was like all my friends were there every time. You know what I'm saying? So it was like not only was I getting to listen to music that I liked and be able to be in a show setting, but I was also seeing my friends that I didn't see all the time. You know what I mean? Whether it was my friends that were at the same high school as me, or friends that were 15, 20 minutes out, or even maybe even 30 minutes out. And that was something that I held dear.
And
You
like
know,
that scene, most kids in high school, they don't know real friendship like kids in the hardcore scene had. You know what I mean? Like I still have friends. I'm 33. I still have friends that I was friends with when I was 13, when I first started going to shows, that are literally my best friends in the world still.
Yeah.
And most people that are in high school, they have friends, but they're not like they don't make the same type of connection that kids in the scene make, I feel like. Because a lot of people are like, damn, you still have friends from back then? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, that's so weird, you know?
Agreed.
yeah.
I remember before even MySpace, before, like, I don't know if you remember LiveJournal, but
Of course, bro.
all right, so down in the scene where I grew up going, there was like a bunch of like crust punk bands and stuff. There was a band called Evil Existence that was from here, and but like there was a Barnes and Noble where I was from that had like a Starbucks connected to it.
Kids won't even know what Barnes and Noble is nowadays.
It's so crazy. But there was no like internet or anything, but I knew 100% if I went to that Starbucks, somebody that I know would be there reading like AP magazine or Revolver or something on the patio, and I could go there at any point in time without saying anything to anybody, or you couldn't text it then either.
Yeah, no.
But there'd be somebody that I knew that was there. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was so sick.
It definitely was it definitely was. It always felt like tight knit. It always felt tight knit, and that was one of the things that also lured me into the scene, was like how tight knit it was, and how, you know, I don't want to use words like gang or brotherhood or anything like that, but it felt like brothers and stuff like that. And a lot of my friends are still from that time period as well.
Yeah. Yeah, my friends that I'd say I'm closer to a lot of those people than I am a lot of people in my direct family.
Yeah.
Yeah, when the band has been going for quite a while. I'm 25 now. The band.
Yeah, let's actually get into the band, Kyle, because we have yet to get into the band or discuss what anyone does in the band. Kyle's the singer of Bodysnatcher, who is our guest this week. Chris is the drummer, also backup vocals we've already discussed, and he does some production on the band. But anyway, let's talk about the band, Kyle. What were you saying?
So, what I was gonna say was I was gonna add on to what you guys were talking about with just friends and all that stuff. But the band started when I was, I'd say, freshly 18, maybe. 2014 was when we became like a band playing shows. And a lot of my friends from back then, when I was younger, had stopped going to shows. They all stopped. And when we became a band again, it was like it goes back to all that. It's like they all started coming to shows again because of the band. Like essentially they were like, I was the younger kid in that whole group of all that. So it was like we started playing shows, they all came out of the woodwork and were like, "Oh, well, he's playing shows, so I'm gonna go and support my, my younger brother at that point." You know what I'm saying? So they all came to shows, and that was really cool because to me it meant a lot because I'm like, wow, like all these people that stopped coming came out because we're playing shows, and that was just meant a lot to me. And like Chris said, like a lot of people that I met from local shows are still my friends now. Some of my closest friends, man, like our merch guy. I've known him since I was literally a child. So it's like it's crazy to me, and we've been best friends forever. So it's like he goes on tour with us all the time, and it's just it's stuff like that has made me also stick around. And
Andy's the best merch guy in the world.
yeah,
It's also a bonus.
he is awesome. He fucking sells the shit out of shirts, and
That's what you need in a
the
merch
man.
guy. That's exactly what you need in a merch guy. So,
yeah, you got to be able to sell the shit out of shirts
or anything. So
I'm thankful for all those friendships, and I'm thankful for where we are and where the band's gotten, and I'm glad that I decided to go to those local shows back in the day, man, because I don't know where I would have ended up. So I'm happy for that.
Kudos to that. So let's talk about the band even a little more in depth. Let's talk about how you guys how'd you guys form, because obviously there's a decent age gap between both of you guys.
Oh.
And you already said that Kyle was running around with the old heads, being a little young rat running around here.
There was a massive member change, and that's where I came in at. So the band had started and they were playing shows, and I remember because I've always done the studio thing, and I was in a band for a while, and I stopped touring because I started doing the studio full time, and I ended up working on Bodysnatcher's first full-length record before they got signed or anything, and they ended up getting signed to a label after we finished that record. That record got them signed, and then after they had done, I think it was one tour as a signed band. They had done tours before that, but they weren't like a signed band, and it was all like self-booked and stuff. And they did one tour as a signed band, and 3 of the members, I believe, left to go tour with another band that they were on tour with. But while I was tracking the record, I was like, damn, I really like that shit. And if that band ever loses their drummer, I'm going to tell them I'll play drums for it, And that's literally how it happened. And all that shit happened, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And he was like, no fucking way, and I was like, yeah, I'll fucking do it. And he's like, well, what about guitar and bass? And I was like, well, I toured with this band, Float Face Down, and I love their bass player, super nice dude. And he's like about the same age as me, and he had been used to touring and stuff like that. And I feel like when you get members that have toured previously,
right,
and you know what they're like on the road, it's just going to be an easier process. You don't have to weed through the weaklings that can't handle it on the road. You know what I mean? Because it is hard, dude. It's not easy. And so then
we didn't.
Oh, I was gonna say, so yeah. So he Float Face Down had their singer passed away, and he actually got asked to do vocals for a couple of songs for they had like a memorial show for him. They had like a couple of their friends vocalists come up and do vocals for their memorial show, and Kyle was one of the people. And so he met their bass player there as well, and I was like, fuck yeah. And then there was another kid, Kyle. So there's 3 Kyles in the band now, completely by accident. And another kid, Kyle, that I was in a band with previously, and he was like, yeah, I'll fucking play guitar. And we literally did one tour with all 3 of us, or like the all 3 new members with Medina, and not a single argument. Everyone did what they were supposed to do with nobody asking them. Like our load-ins were flawless. Our changeovers were flawless. Loading up was so easy. Driving every night was easy. Like everyone just got along, and now it's been 3 years and we've never been in an argument on tour, and we all just think farts are really funny, and none of us drink or party really, you know, like some of the other guys will have a beer here and there, but like nobody ever gets fucked up while we're on tour, and we just play shows, have fun, drive, and eat food, and it's just it's been the easiest band I've been in my whole life by far.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It,
that's
yeah, it was crazy how it all worked out for me, because me being younger than Chris and Kyle Shope, our bass player, was just, it's crazy to me from the standpoint where everything happened, because like as he said, like, you know, we had that member change, and basically what ended up happening was Chris was like, "Yeah, I'll play drums," and unfortunately, we had a tour, and these, like, basically everything can happen right before this tour, 2 weeks before this tour happened. So I'm like, well, fuck. Um, we still have to do this tour, but it's such short notice that both Kyle Shope and Chris were like, well, fuck, like it's a little short notice. So I did a tour with all fill-ins. It was just me, and we did this tour. It was a month, I believe, a month long, and then we came back, and then we went out. I believe it was the first Ingested tour. We toured with this band called Ingested from the UK, and we
I
went
was
out.
on.
And yeah, and it was Chris was on it, Kyle Shope was on it, and this was before Kyle Carter on guitar had joined. We had our previous guitar player, and that went great. And basically, Kyle Shope, when I went and sang for Float Face Down, um, it the way it all happened was just so it was crazy, because like this was before everybody had left and we'd parted ways with the previous members, and it was like I had met Kyle Shope, and Chris was like, "Oh hell yeah, I know him." And I'm like, cool. And then, you know, when all that had happened and whatever, a couple months down the road, I remember at the show, Kyle Shope was like, yeah, I hate living a super boring life because my band broke up years ago. And this is like the nail in the coffin for it, because, you know, Ron passed away. So he's like, Float's not going to, it's never going to happen again. And I'm like, well, fuck, man, I'm sorry. Like, if I ever hear about any band needing, you know, a bass player, or if you want to tour with somebody or something, I'll let you know. And it was just so crazy that like a couple months later, it was like, holy shit, like let's just ask Kyle Shope. And I fucking called him, and he's like, yeah, man. I remember what he said too. He was like, give me a week. I'm gonna think about it. I'm like, you know, Chris is gonna be touring with us, and you know Chris from a decade ago, so there's that. He's like, all right, well, let me think about it, because I want to think about my options, and I want to make sure this is the right choice. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he calls me a week later, and he's like, I'm in. So we do that tour, and halfway through the tour, he's like, I'll join if you guys will have me. So, and it was crazy to me, because like Chris said, like his old band, I was a huge fan of his old band when I was younger. So that was crazy enough for me. And then the whole Float Face Down thing, I also listened to them when I was in high school. So it was just like so crazy how life can work out sometimes, where you're just like, holy shit, like I went from listening to these guys' band to now they're in the band. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, not to be a complete nerd, but like, dude, like this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is Chris's old fucking band. Like, I have a fucking poster in my goddamn room. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that is literally the craziest shit to me. Like, I still know, I don't even believe it, man. Like, I still think about it all the time, and I'm like, how did this get here to this point, man? Like, it's so crazy to me.
So how
And
did it get there? How like so you had a massive member change, which obviously sounds like everyone but you exited the band.
Right. So what ended up happening was when we parted ways with them or whatever, our guitar player at the time, and like Chris said, he had been recording us already for our previous full length. And when those guys left, me and the guitar player at the time were like, all right, well, fuck, we have this song that we were going to do as a single anyway. So let's go and hit up Chris, and we'll record the song real quick, and we'll come back swinging, because everybody at that point had known that we had lost those members. So the general consensus online, unfortunately, was, you know, you go on Reddit and you go on Facebook, and everybody's like, rest in peace, this band. And it's like, well, fuck, man. Because, like, you know, it wasn't necessarily like the most seamless transition. It was just like kind of public. And I wish it wasn't like that, but, you know, it's the past of the past. It's fine. And so we were like, fuck, we need to let people know that we're not going to break up. So we need to come out fucking swinging with the song. So when we went and recorded with Chris, he was like, I'd fucking do it. And I was like, no way. And then 3 days later, after we recorded the song, he texted me and he was like, I'm being serious, right? Like I'm not kidding. And that was mind blowing to me.
They had came in with a single, and it was just him and Frankie, the one guitar player that was left at the time, and they had a song, but they didn't have like drums written or anything. And I'm like, dude, I'll do all the drums right fucking now in studio. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, okay, So we just did it, and we were all like, damn, this song fucking rips. And I was like, God damn it, this is so much fun. Like I missed being in a band, I missed just like being aggressive on stage, and just like, I don't know, it's so much different than like, you think you're not gonna miss it, but once you do it again, I was like, fuck, like, this is so sick. So I just like, basically I had like a new spark in me that made me really want to pursue a band and like and try and make it worth it. You know what I mean? Because the last band that I was in, like, people thought that it was good, but like, we never profited anything. Like, we lost so much fucking money our whole lives. We ate shit for so fucking long. Like, and it just wasn't worth it. It was really fucking hard. And so I didn't think that I wanted to do it anymore. And as soon as we wrote that song together, I was like, nah, like, I know too many people in the industry. Like, I know too much about it to not be able to make this work. And now that like I have the knowledge that I have now, I feel like it's going to be much easier. And like, within that first year of us getting the new members, it was like the band doubled in size, and we've literally more than doubled in size every year since then.
100%. We're like quadruple the size that we were at that time. And I think another thing that really possibly convinced you as well was that it wasn't like you said, where it was, it was people that had absolutely no knowledge whatsoever. It was like, we were already a touring band at that point. We already had established. So it was like, it wasn't like completely starting over, like, fuck, man, like, we have nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it was already a base, and it was like, okay, well, now we can take this base and see what we can do with it,
And I knew everyone. Like, even though Frankie isn't in the band anymore, I love Frankie. He
Nice.
I liked you and Frankie so much, and I knew that Kyle Shope was joining on, and I was like, damn, this is gonna be so easy. You know what I mean? But then, so we did that one tour with Ingested. That was me, Kyle Shope, and Frankie was still a guitar player. And then after that tour, basically like a couple of days after we got home, right? Frankie was like, hey guys, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this anymore. And I think he really just needed to take time for himself, like mentally. And it just wasn't like being away from his family and stuff for as long as we were, because that tour was like it was over 2 months. Yeah.
2 or 3 months. 3 months.
And but he was already talking about adding Kyle Carter, our current guitar player, in as a second guitar player. So like, we were already showing Carter the songs and stuff. And then Frankie said that he didn't think he was going to be able to do it anymore. And then that's when Carter became the full-time guitar player. And then we really buckled down. We wrote and recorded 4 songs in 5 days and had it sent out to the label, and then had 2 music videos filmed 2 weeks after that. And like, then it was just like bam, 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 and everything just started skyrocketing. It was sick.
Yeah, it was crazy too, because like, when everything happened, and this is not common knowledge. This is like a very like, whoa, really? So when I was initially going to do that tour with all the fill-ins, there was a couple people that I had in mind, and we were going to, Ryan from Medallia, right?
Yeah.
So Ryan from Medallia was going to play in Bodysnatcher, and he broke his hand a week before we went on tour. So that completely put the kibosh on that.
Yeah.
And then we almost had if you remember that band from around your time when King Conquer was a band, like 2010, 2011, Demolisher. We were gonna the guitar player from Demolisher was gonna play, and he's a lawyer now, so he was like, I don't know if I want to do the touring thing again. I'm like, I understand that, man. I get you. It's just you popped into my mind, you know. So it's crazy how things have gone and how everything. It's crazy how life works out because you never think it's gonna, you know, go crazy places, but sometimes it does. So I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. Everything just ended up lining up very easily and seamlessly without having like, we put in a whole lot of work, but it was like normally finding members that you like can actually mesh with takes years, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh yeah.
What time frame was this massive member change?
This was
2018.
2018. Oh, I thought it was 2017. Okay, so 2018.
So this is after you guys have put out Death of Me or whatever, correct?
Yeah. And then we put out the Death of Me Deluxe, and all the new songs that were on that were the songs that the new members had written.
Okay, interesting. And then obviously in 2020, you guys released This Heavy Void, and that was a pretty massive record for you guys so far.
Yeah, we only got to do one tour on it, but but that one tour was like, well, I can't even express how good it. Like, we did not think it was gonna do as good as it did. It was so fucking sick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, so what do you think? What do you think accredited to, like, just the success of the album?
Honestly, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the fact that it was not only, it went off of the deluxe songs, like the way that the band progressed sound wise. I think it was perfect progression sound wise, and also the fact that it was more personal and not just not to say that everything wasn't personal before, but it was like it's easier to relate to all those songs and whatnot, and I feel like that definitely helped.
I was gonna say, and we toured a shit ton. Like,
yeah, that is true too.
2018 and 2019, like we did. Dude, we toured a lot. We did, especially like the end of 2018 into 2019. Like we ended with that second Ingested tour. So we did the first Ingested tour, and then we did that For the Fallen Dreams run. There was a Canada run as well. And then we also did the second Ingested tour with like Enterprise Earth and stuff, and we were home for like a month. Then we did the Lorna Shore Enterprise Earth straight into Chelsea Grin. That was like 3 months long.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that, we did that Slaughter to Prevail run with us as direct support. And then as we're on that tour, our singles started to release for This Heavy Void, and we had like a 3-month release plan that was like a music video every month and stuff like that. And then by the time the 4th music video was coming out, we had already announced our tour for 2020. And so like we were like the last tour a lot of people got to see in 2020, because our tour started January 21st or something like that and ended March 5th. So
yeah, we got home a week before the lockdown happened.
Yeah,
Interesting.
And we all got really sick on that tour.
I also got really sick around that time frame as well.
Yeah. And
did you guys play here? I want to say you guys might have played here.
We played Jacksonville like on a one-off show in between those.
Where was that?
I forget. It was some like it was like some fest thing. We headlined it.
That might be why the name.
It was. I forget what the name of it was, but there was like that band Backslide from Georgia played. Who else played that? I think Scattershot played.
Was it last year or was it?
It was 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking.
Oh no, we did play. We played there with For the Fallen Dreams too. On that For the Fallen Dreams tour, and at the regular venue, it's like a pretty nice venue actually.
Was it 1904?
Yeah.
Okay, that might.
I almost couldn't play that show. I was so sick.
Yeah, you were like had a fever. I couldn't even get him out of the van, and I was like, we're just gonna play with no vocalists, and just because like we gotta like do something, you know. And he just like sat in the van with his hoodie on, just sweated for like 4 hours straight, and walked on stage and ended up ripping. But
It sucked balls that whole time. I was like, I might die, dude.
Yeah, wouldn't it be crazy though if like you actually did get the Rona?
if that's how you went,
No, not that you went that way, but you actually got like the Rona, and you all had you all just passed the Rona around the tour bus, and then
I think
you're unknowingly spreading it. You know.
I think that might have happened for our headliner in 2020. I know Ethan from Great American Ghost. He said that he got tested for antibodies, and they said that he had it.
Wow.
Crazy. But because he went to the hospital on our headliner because he was so sick, and they were like, well, you don't have the flu, and just send him home or send him back to the van.
Yeah.
And and that was in Erie, Pennsylvania. We were all really sick. But yeah. I was playing drums in a hoodie every night, just like for like 4 nights, just trying to break my fever.
How long were y'all sick for?
Everyone got sick twice, actually.
Bummer.
I know Ethan from Great American Ghost was sick for, I mean, a good almost 2 weeks. I feel like he had it pretty bad for a while. And Tyler Sachs from Born Anew, their drummer, he was really sick.
Yeah, they couldn't play for a couple days.
Yeah, they had to take 2 days or 3 days off.
And this was what, right before everything? Like
this was February 2020.
Yeah, I definitely got sick around that time too.
Yeah.
Oh well, interesting. I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. Who knows? I got my vaccine though, so what's up?
There you go.
Yeah, they told me when I went to the hospital, they said it looks like you have bronchitis, but your lungs are really inflamed, and here, take these medicine. These two, take this steroid and this pill, and you'll be fine. And then they sent me on my way.
Yeah, they gave you a Z-Pack or something, I think.
Well, they gave me that, and they gave me like a steroid, and they're like, take this and take the Z-Pack and drink lots of water.
But you were like good like a couple of days after that, actually. But you were sick for like a week before you went to the hospital.
Oh yeah, it was bad. I got fed up with it, and I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm Ubering to the walk-in.
Interesting. So not to change the subject, but like what's on the horizon for you guys? Because you guys unfortunately released your album in 2020, and then early 2020, and like you said, got to play a show on it, and now fast forward a year and a half later, are you planning on supporting that record after everything's said and done?
Well,
or I mean, obviously you probably had a lot of downtime within this last year and a half.
I feel like there's a couple options, and in my mind there's a couple options like going into the whole lockdown thing. I was like, there's either going to be bands that are just not going to do anything because they don't want to like waste their time on their, like, they want to tour on the records they had put out, and then there's going to be bands that are trying to put things out still. And in my mind, I wanted to keep putting things out because if you can't play shows, you're not in front of people's eyes. And the only way to be in people's eyes is to have a new song on a Spotify playlist or have a music video or something. And music videos for songs that have already been released never do as well as music videos for songs that haven't been released. So we kind of like had this plan to record a bunch of singles, and we put out a single in December. We put out a single in February. We did the Hatebreed song this month, and we got a couple other things that I can't really say, but like there's more things happening. This month, actually, there's something happening, and then some other things are happening after that, and then something huge is happening after that. But I can't really say what it is because, people think that one thing is happening, but it's not the thing happening that they think is happening. And I'm stoked that nobody catches on to stuff. So it's gonna be cool.
Cool. Well, we'll figure out what's happening later.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's happening later. But
nice. Well, okay, cool. So not to go back to the member change, but like you guys were obviously a band already prior, and you already had a sound. How much did the complete swap out affect everything? especially
Oh,
with the Heavy Void.
huge, man. I mean, um, we started out as a relatively like slow deathcore band, and then we pretty much like we've progressed into more of a, I guess we utilize more of the hardcore side of deathcore when you say that, you know what I mean? Like we utilize that more so than the metal side now. And I feel like before, like we always had kind of both anyway, but I feel like before it wasn't as prominent as it is now. Like we have more two steps and more stomp beats and more hardcore parts than we did before, and I think that's what's like helped us be able to expand the range of things that we can do, you know what I'm saying? And think also them with everybody else being in other bands prior, I think that also helped to be able to sculpt the sound with their previous knowledge of already knowing how to write mean, pissed off music, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically, we took all of the parts that were aggressive and mean from their other bands, and we injected it into this band now. So like, let's say like for example, Kyle Shub's band was a little bit more technical, but they had like mean parts. We just took all the mean parts. Or like Chris's band, like we took all the mean parts, the aggressive parts, and we've tried to basically just inject that all into Bodysnatcher and be just anger and mean parts, basically.
Yeah, and it was like everyone in the band now like has a lot of experience writing and structuring out songs to like to be delivered in a certain way, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like you can write a part that's heavy and you're like, oh, that part's heavy, but if you don't go into that heavy part correctly, it's not going to hit as hard as it could have if you went into it a different way. And I feel like a lot of us like grasp that very well, and so just the song structuring in general has gotten a little bit better than where it was previously.
I think also just having the previous knowledge, like he was saying, like they've already each of their old bands had multiple albums, so they already had all of the time to be like, okay, well, we won't do that again. We won't do that again. You know what I'm saying? Like all of the trial and error is all already out of the way and years gone. So it's like all of the experience is right there. So it's been injected in, or at least we've tried to. Hopefully, it's been hitting the mark.
Yeah, I would.
Somebody's gonna be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily. It's hard. I was trying to like figure out how to classify like the this Heavy Void album, and because it's I wouldn't necessarily call it deathcore per se, but it's got its elements. It's also got like like you were saying hardcore elements in there, and I just kind of lump it in with the new like metalcore sound. I guess like it's just like a heavier mix of metalcore and hardcore, and again, there's some deathcore elements in it, obviously, because you guys all have like a extensive deathcore background, obviously.
Yeah,
So
I think the best way to describe it. Oh, you want to go ahead?
I was gonna say it is definitely like it definitely has more of a metalcore feel than our previous bands do, and I don't even think that like we don't even do it on purpose. It just like comes out like that. You know what I mean? It's not we're not like trying to write it more metalcore. It's just like I don't know. It just comes out. It just comes out, and that's how it is.
I think the best way to put it is all those old mosh like metalcore bands like On Broken Wings or Recon or stuff like that.
That's
I
a good
feel like
comparison.
it's more in the vein of that than like a typical deathcore band, and that's what we're like trying to go for.
Yeah, no,
So like
that's actually On Broken Wings hits it kind of dead on the head there, I think.
yeah, we played Tsunami Fest with Recon, On Broken Wings, and all those bands, and the guitar player from Recon was watching us, and he was like, "Yeah, you guys are pretty much what we would be sounding like if we came out 10 years after when we did." And I'm like, "Cool, I love your band."
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you have
That's what we were really trying to like to be like we want to be able to tour with the hardcore bands and not have those hardcore bands hate us for being the deathcore band. But we also want to be able to tour with the deathcore bands and not have them not like us because we're a hardcore band. But then I also feel like it kind of works against us in some instances too, because a lot of the hardcore bands do think that we're too much of a metal band to tour with them, and a lot, you know what I mean? It's like, but as soon as we like get on tour with those bands, we end up becoming like really good friends, and a lot of people end up digging our live show. I feel like our live show is like so much heavier than our record is.
That's cool. Yeah. But do you get, since you've been in deathcore for quite some time, Chris, with your other band, do you still think like deathcore gets like a bad rap currently? And is that why people are trying to stray and develop different kind of ways of being a band?
I definitely I mean, I don't think that it gets a bad rap in the eyes of like kids that like deathcore, you know what I mean?
Well,
But
obviously
like
not them,
see,
but through the scenes,
like
through the
when
lens of the scene.
yeah, like, you know, when deathcore first started, a lot of those bands were people that were in hardcore bands, you know what I mean? So it was like it felt different back in like 2008 because a lot of those people came from the hardcore scene, and nowadays kids don't see you as people that came from the hardcore scene. So I feel like the name deathcore still gets kind of a bad rap, but I don't know. I feel like if you deliver it correctly and you have a certain, you're not a fake individual and you have a real personality. You know what I mean? I feel like people can't hate you forever, you know, so fuck it.
That's true. That is true. So what's on the, I was going to say what's on the plan for you guys coming up, but you can't say, and you can't say. So there's that.
I mean, hopefully we can announce a tour soon. We're really hoping for that. We have a tour booked with some really sick bands, but you know, it's just, you know, who the fuck knows? Like like we were talking about today, we're like, we should just call it the Can We Actually Do This tour?
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I mean, it seems like everything's going to be fine. I think with all the shows like Furnace Fest and all those big shows booked later on in the year, I think some shows are going to start happening in places that rules are a little more laxed, and then that will kind of ease people's minds as far as like what the outcomes may be of those shows, you know.
Yeah. I really hope so.
It's a trial run, obviously. Could be bad, could be good. We're all hoping for good.
Yeah, we're all hoping for good.
Yeah.
So like we were talking earlier about before we turned the record button on, you got, Chris, if you're only listening to the podcast and not watching it, Chris has an Until the End shirt on, and I mentioned that, but I also mentioned Kyle's Conquer shirt. We were talking about shirts for some reason, and I either asked Chris, or I either said to Chris, not Chris, Kyle, you either a Conquer's fan or you just spend all day on Depop looking at cool shit, and then just turns out that he actually bought the shirt for Chris on Depop, and yeah, he just is like a Depop pimp, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I believe you told me also before we were recording that you're big into thrifting and big into old band shirts
I do
and stuff
that.
like
Yeah,
that.
I do. Yeah.
I am also super into that. That's with the band being my primary source of income, like that's what I've been doing for whenever we've been able to be in the green, at least. That's been like my career, my job or whatever. So without touring, and you know, I had been doing this already while we were touring anyway, but like I've really ramped it up with not touring, is that I buy sell trade a lot of old band shirts, vintage movie shirts, video game shirts, stuff like that. So mostly on Facebook groups, but I sell a lot on eBay and Depop as well. And I have way too much stuff. Like I have a storage unit with about 20 tubs full of stuff. I have tubs here full of stuff, and I love it, man.
I might have to hit you up. Are you in the metalcore collectors group on Facebook?
Oh, of course.
Okay, I'll see you around in there.
Yeah.
We everyone in our band actually is a pretty big part of that group. We all interact a lot in that group.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting. I'm sure you will see each other out there. Fuck.
That's actually like being part of that group has helped Bodysnatcher a lot actually because we like personally know a lot of people in that group now, and like every time we play a show in a city where one of them live, they come out and we like hang out with them and stuff. And a lot of times people will do like big merch pickups for a bunch of other people that couldn't make it to a show. So like they'll come and grab merch for like 6 or 7 different people that are in
That,
that group at that show.
that's right. You guys do kind of. You guys are also one of the bands that do like the. I don't want to say street style merch, but it's more of like a limited type run merch situation.
Yes, I mean very rarely will we make things limited, but yeah, we do definitely do like certain drops and stuff like that, and we definitely try to make the merch. I don't know. We don't really try to make the merch any type of way. We just do merch that we think kicks ass. You know what I mean? That's really all it is.
Well,
Sometimes it's something
I
super.
would assume with Kyle being, the Depop guy that he is, he probably also with that input, it's just a style of
Yeah,
like newer metalcore bands have like, you know, it seems like the merch is being approached in such a different way these days, which is good. Obviously, because I also am a part-time hype beast, like I said. So it's cool when bands have cool merch or cooler than your
Yeah,
typical like album cover or just the
yeah,
name of the band.
yeah. And our merch guy is also like super high beast. Like he knows what the fuck is up for sure when it comes to everything that's popular.
yeah. And I like to just do fun designs because fun is fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
So, why not make fun shirts and kick ass shirts while we can? You know?
Yeah, yeah. We always end up coming out with something that's just like we're like, all right, we're the only ones that are gonna think this is funny, but we don't give a shit, and it ends up selling well. So fuck it.
Yeah, but it connects you with the audience a little more. They get a little insight of your humor and all that stuff. Um, so Chris, you also, I mean, since obviously Kyle is he flips tour tees and stuff like that all day long. You are a production kind of person. You do like you recorded the first Bodysnatcher album, obviously. Like you worked on
Yeah,
it or recorded
I've
it or worked on it?
fully produced, recorded, mixed,
The
mastered.
whole
I've done
thing.
every Body Snatcher record. Yeah,
Okay, so you're the man with the plan on that. And then obviously you as you were in your other band, I'm sure when did you get into recording?
I got into recording around 2014.
So right
So
right
that's
at the end of your
yeah,
teen
yeah.
conquest.
So I never recorded any of my old band's records, but every time that like I don't know, I used to like watch studio updates and stuff like that the bands used to do, and that was like that was always like my favorite thing. And I just love sick ass drum tones, and I was just like, God, I want to make sick drum tones. So whenever I stopped touring full time, I picked it up, and I picked it up extremely fast, and within a year I was making a full-time living off of it.
Dope.
So that's where I've been at now. So now I've done like there's bands from Florida like Traders and stuff like that. I've done all their records. I've worked with bands like Rings of Saturn and Infant Annihilator and um yeah, I don't know. I've worked with a lot of like upcoming bands basically in the metalcore and deathcore scene, and that's kind of my niche is building upcoming bands. I feel like.
Yeah, and plus obviously like being in an upcoming band and recording their music, or recording your own music, obviously lends to, a good little bit of advertisement for yourself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
So Rings of Saturn, you worked with them. They just got into some hot water recently this week.
Yeah, so the only thing that I did for Rings of Saturn was I engineered the drums on one of the records when Aaron Staccaner was still the drummer. So that was like 2008, 17, I think, 2017.
Interesting. I wonder what the issue was between them. I don't think I've gotten to the bottom of it yet.
Nobody's like posted
No,
anything.
yeah,
So
they
yeah,
just say like the comments he made, and it was like comment. Okay, well, where are the comments?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
it'll be fun to see how that plays out. But obviously, they are no longer on a label. But they also are one of those bands that are wildly popular on like YouTube too. Like they have, well, certain people in the band have YouTube channels and stuff like that that do similarly or somewhat well.
There's a big market for that genre of music. I feel like though it's just like the over the top overboard stuff that it's like, holy crap, I can't believe people can actually play that. There's a lot of kids online that really envy that type of stuff.
Lucas gets in a lot of hot water for all his stuff being like fake and whatnot, or they, the internet wants to claim that it's fake, and then he goes and.
But that dude could play it for real.
Oh, I'm sure he can. Yeah,
It's crazy.
I'm not one of those guys in the camp that say he can't. I'm just going with
yeah.
He probably is playing it. I don't want to say he's not. But anyway, I guess we'll cut it here. I just got one more question for you both. Why are Florida bands just better?
Dude, I've been saying that my whole life. They really are just meaner down here. I don't know why.
I think Florida gets a lot. Yeah, it definitely is the heat. Florida gets a lot of bad rap for a lot of shit, but I honestly think we do have some fucking, especially in the vein of heavy music, we've got some bangers down here.
It's like dude, Until the End, Remembering Never, Kids Like Us. Literally, that's all you need. That's like
you got Poison. You have like all the death metal stuff.
Into the Moat.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. You have all the death metal stuff that happens in Clearwater, like Deicide and fucking all those things, and yeah, we're doing it right down here, guys.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Well, do you guys have anything that you want to kind of end on the positive note, other than like Florida being the best, even for music? All the cool bands.
When shows come back, go to shows like you haven't been to a show in a year and a half, like you've been talking about it on the internet. And and if you don't go to shows like you've been talking about it on the internet, you're a nerd.
Kyle, no last comments, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, really, basically the same thing. If you're gonna talk the talk and say you want bands to come back and play shows, come and support them, and don't just sit at home and be a dick and talk shit on the internet. Actually go and do it and support these bands, because a lot of them have been pretty much suffocated for the past year and a half. So
everyone else has been able to continue going to work, and we have not been able to continue going to work, and it has sucked. So come out to shows and be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Well, Kyle, Chris, Bodysnatcher, thank you very much. This Heavy Void is available obviously anywhere and everywhere. Also, the other material you guys had as your previous members were involved, that's still available everywhere. And we will look forward to your mini announcements in the upcoming weeks and months.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, man.